Hello, everyone. Good evening. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. It's really nice to see all of the responses coming through. So keep them coming in the chat as we settle in. It's really nice to hear from all of you, and I hope you all are really excited for today. Today, we're actually going to start right off. So I'm going to hand it over to Aryaman to get started.
Thank you, Anika. Thank you. And welcome everybody to the second day of Unpacking Holistic Education. And just to quickly recap whatever we had, the activities that we had done yesterday, and to kind of recap everything that we had done yesterday, we are going to have a small quiz, right? We are going to have a quiz where we are going to ask you a question, and there will be a poll, and you have to, like answer and choose the correct answer there, right? So let's start. Let's go to the first question, guys. Right? If we could have the question and the poll screen here. So the first question is, which of these is not part of holistic education? Option A is practical, hands-on understanding of concept. B is community building. C is extracurricular development, and option D is academic understanding. All right, let's see. So we're getting a little bit of everything, but B and D are generally on the higher side, option B and option D. Okay, we're still getting some polls in. All right. So there's a close voting between option B and option D. All right. 53% of the people have voted yet. I'm just going to wait for a little bit more so that some more votes can come in, and then we can end this poll. All right. So till now, there's a close competition between option B, which is community building, and option D, which is academic understanding. Okay, option D is now slowly moving ahead. Academic understanding is moving ahead. Uh, Remember, it's which of these is not part of the holistic education, right? All right. I'm going to end the poll here, and the results, the maximum votes have gone to option D, which is academic understanding. So if we quickly remember what we had done yesterday, right? Um, I think that all of us remember that holistic education, of course, includes practical and hands-on understanding of concepts, right? And there is a little bit of community building also. It also focuses on extracurricular activity. It is everything which is beyond the book, right? It is everything which is beyond academic. So good one, guys. We'll move on to the next question now. Question number two. All right. Let's see what question number two is now. All right. So, question number two is enabling leadership's approach is built on experiential learning. Which of these best describes what experiential learning means? Option A, learning by doing. Option B, guided classroom demonstrations. Option C, case studies and analysis. And option D is projects. All right, I think this is a very one-way voting happening here. It's option A by a huge margin right now, and a little bit, just about 4% or 3% on option B. All right. I think we've gotten a lot of responses by now, and everybody is saying option A, learning by doing. All right. Uh, I am pretty sure that guided classroom demonstration is definitely, is it a part of experiential learning, guys? Think about it. Case studies and analysis, projects. We are talking about experiential learning, right? So hands-on experience, right? All right, I'm going to end this poll here. So 93% of the total audiences voted for option A. And I think that, I think we all kind of agree on the consensus that experiential learning is all about getting hands-on experience, right? So great, great. I'm not going to tell you guys the correct answer, but I think everybody's on the right path. Moving on to the last question here. Okay. This is the last question, guys, for this poll. What skills do you think applied while doing yesterday's two activities? A, creativity and problem solving. B, critical thinking. C, communication. D, teamwork and collaboration. All right. So a lot of option A, and then there is a little bit of option B, C, and D coming in. Okay, let's wait for everybody to start giving their choices in the poll. Okay, still a lot of option A. Guys, think about it. Think a little, pause for a while and think. There were two activities that you did. What were the, aspects out of these four options that you kind of used? Could be more than one here, right? Uh, could be more than two also. All right. So the maximum votes that have come down till now is option A. Then option B, option C, and option D are more or less on the same level. All right. I'm going to end this poll here then in that case. Okay. So I think that, if we remember what we did yesterday, we did an activity where you had to use creative thinking and problem solving, right? When you made those sketches. You were also using a little bit of critical thinking in both the activities, I would say, because you were critically thinking about how to solve an issue in activity one and also how to make a tune better. So, and of course, all of you were communicating over the chat, with your mics on and with your emojis and everything. So communication was also happening and teamwork and collaboration. Of course, we did because we, like accumulatively chose the notes that we eventually decided upon in the final version of the tune. So I think, great votings. I think most of you kind of have a fair idea about what is going on here. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Abhimanyu and he'll take it from there. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Aryaman. I hope I'm audible for everyone. So just a quick reiteration, the norms that we need to follow for the training, right? So please use the raise hand if you want to talk, share, ask questions, use chat as much as you want to. I think yesterday you've done a great job with it, and I think we would like to see the same thing today. And just want to again just emphasize on how this is a safe space and it is a non-judgmental space as well. Yeah. So we did two different activities yesterday. One was maybe to do a little bit about understanding our surroundings. One was a little bit more music related, right? So today we're going to do something which is moving towards football, right? And you don't need to really understand football to a very deep level to do this activity. And I will just give you all the instructions that are there, right? So I'm going to show you a bunch of animals on the screen and take a wild guess as to what all animals do you see here. And feel free to put that on chat. Okay. Great. Okay, someone said there are wild animals. That's correct. Could you try to name all the animals as well? So elephant, yes, lion, giraffe, cheetah, gorilla. Okay. Fox. All right. Bear, mammals. Again, if you see mammals, if you see marsupials, please try to name what they are. Okay, so most of you are seeing elephants, giraffes, lions. Okay. All right. So now when we see these animals, and I have to ask you a question about what do you think are some characteristics or strengths of these animals? What can you say? So, for example, an elephant is big, it is strong, and it can remember things, right? So, if you had to describe some of the strengths of the other animals that you see written over here, what would you say they are? And again, put them on chat. So if you think giraffe has some particular strengths or some features, you can put it down. For wolf, you can put down the same thing. For bear, you can put down the same thing. Whatever that is coming to your mind. Okay, someone says lion is the king of the jungle and is very strong. Okay, giraffe tall and smart in the crowd. All right. Lions lead the very brave. Cheetah and lion have speed. Interesting. Giraffe tall and can reach heights. Okay. What about monkey? What about wolf? What about kangaroo? What about the bear? Oh, kangaroo has a natural pocket for protection. Very nice. Okay. Monkey is good jump. Kangaroo is protective. Monkey doesn't need permission to travel across borders. Very nice. Great. All right. So keep this thought going, right? Keep thinking about the different animals, what their strengths can be, what their characteristics are. And what we have to do is we need to make a football team, except there can be only five animals in this team, right? So we're going to make a football team with just five animals, and each animal is going to play a particular role, right? So there has to be one goalkeeper, there has to be two defenders, and there has to be two attackers. Now, what is a goalkeeper? Goalkeeper has to save the goal. They have to move around and save the goal. A defender has to be strong and they need to stop the other team from scoring. And an attacker has to be fast or quick and they need to score goals for their team, right? So, how you have defined certain strengths, traits of these animals, you can select any five animals and put them in their respective roles. So we need one goalkeeper, two defenders, and two attackers, right? So take around 3 to 4 minutes, think about it, and write down what your football team is going to look like. And once you have written it down, try to also explain why you have chosen that animal in that particular role, right? So if you've understood this activity, just give me a thumbs up so that I know that all of you are thinking about it. All right, great. All right, so let's take around 3 to 4 minutes to actually think about it and see what is the best football team that we can put out. Great, some of you are putting down your formations already. Whoever has put it down, great job. Can you also reply to your comment and write down why have you put them over there? So for example, Piyush, you've written monkey and kangaroo as attackers. Why have you chosen a monkey and kangaroo as an attacker? Right? Pooja, you've selected a monkey to be a goalkeeper. Why is a monkey a goalkeeper? So try to respond to your own message and let us know the reasoning behind your decisions as well. Okay. Someone says lion and cheetah because of speed, so they'll be good attackers. Fair enough. Lion and fox are strong enough to attack and plan. Okay. Someone says monkeys can jump a lot, so they can stop the ball easily. Perfect. Interesting. I see a lot of elephants. I see a lot of cheetahs and monkeys. Nobody wants to put the kangaroo on their team. Interesting. Wow. Okay. All right. Great. Great job, everyone. Thank you for putting your thoughts down. And as all of you can also see there are so many different ways in which you can approach this, right? And everybody has their own thought process behind this. So, what I want you to do now is just listen to what I have to say, and we're going to ask you some questions. And all you have to do is try to think about those questions and answer it the best way that you can. All right. And remember that we've done a total of three activities, right? We did an activity where we drew about a community, problems in the community, and maybe a solution for that problem. We made some melodies together yesterday, and right now we made a football team with five animals. So, what was it like for you to engage in these new activities yesterday and today? How did you feel when you were engaging in these activities? What was your experience like? So if you want to put it down on chat, you can. If one or two of you want to just unmute and quickly share, also you can do that. Okay, Pooja says interesting and engaging, being involved.
Good evening, sir. Can I?
Yes, Asina, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yesterday's and today's activity shows that how our mind works, how much it is active. When we do some work, the concentration should be there, and we make the children to do the work. The children will not like the subject, but it depends upon the teacher how she reacts with the children and she makes the subject to be liked. The same way, the game and the animals also what you have shown today and yesterday's also quick attraction towards the words. That was such. I have realized that once.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for sharing that a lot.
Oh, hello.
Tasneem, can I go with whoever's raised their hands and then I'll come back to the person who's speaking next? Thank you. Tasneem, you can go next.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, yesterday's activity was inside the box, the music and community and everything. Today's activity is outside. We had never imagined making a football team of animals, but we did a great job. Being elders and being a team, we had made ourselves like engaging, seeing the animal strength and their capacity. We have played a game.
Okay.
So obviously student also will understand we have to go with the topic with out of the box where a child should understand. Nowadays AI generation kids needs more and more practicing and out of the box things to be understood. Thank
Okay.
you,
All
sir.
right. Thank you so much for that reflection. All right. I'll move on to the next question, and whoever has their hands raised, you can try to answer the next one. What did you enjoy about this activity? Right. So talk about your experience and what did you enjoy? Why did you like these activities if it was there? Okay. So Pooja, your hand is raised. You want to answer this question?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So first of all, Abhimanyu, I would like to compliment you and your team because, after a tired day, it is such a relaxing session and I just feel it could be of more days. So yesterday we enjoyed making those melodies and, it took us to the nostalgic time of Mario video games. And today this activity, of course, after years, I'm feeling I'm a student again and enjoying all those activities. And yesterday's session was so good that I was looking forward to today's session.
Right.
So it is how you can make it interesting and how students they look forward to your sessions.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that, and I'm glad we could make it a bit nostalgic for you as well. Uh, Next person, Sally Mott. Sorry if I got your name
Hello.
wrong.
Good afternoon. Good
Yeah.
afternoon here. Good evening there. Good afternoon here in Nigeria.
Yeah.
What I realize is that we are moving from the traditional way of teaching to the new way of teaching, that is inquiry way of teaching, that is student center. And in doing this, we are not just based on the cognitive aspect of learning. We want to, from the program heard yesterday, we want to use another means of giving them information that they need through the cognitive in a hand-on way, practical way, that they will understand. Because, for instance, in Nigeria here today, even if you don't have radio, you don't have anything at home, you just discover that your children are singing latest song at home. Where do they get it? from each other. From when they are going out, they will listen to it outside. When you incorporate music to the classroom management, definitely they are going to catch up. The song that you cannot sing as a mother, your child will sing it from the beginning to the end without having the cassette at all. So that is telling us that incorporating music into education, it will improve it. We call it musical therapy. That is incorporating music into teaching and learning. And the one we just started now about football. Me, I don't know anything about football, but with the rate you ask us to classify those animals, their roles in the football team, then we can relate it when we get to the class for the children that doesn't play football to know the attacker, the defender, and the goalkeeper with their characteristics, their ability. I think this is a great workshop. I really appreciate, and I want to enjoy more. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your words, and I'm glad that you're able to join from a different country as well. Uh, I saw one comment which also said that we are not following any syllabus. Thank you for that, but unfortunately we are. But yeah, I understand what you're trying to say over here. All right, next question that you have to think about, right? So when we are doing these activities, right, all three of them, is there anything that you found challenging? Something where you felt a little bit maybe stuck, or maybe you didn't have an idea, or let's say, you were not able to understand how to proceed? And it's okay, you can be honest about it. If you did find anything challenging, you can just put it down on chat if you're not comfortable sharing it. Okay, someone says catching. Absolutely, 100%. I know exactly how that feels. Deciding which role to give for which animal. Very interesting, and thank you for that reflection. That's a very important point. Okay, Pooja, you didn't find anything challenging. That's also good. Justification. All right. Deciding which note was better. So, okay. You found the music activity to be a little bit lengthy. That's all right. Hmm. Javed says he was feeling judged for choosing some animals. Okay. Choosing music. All right. Okay. Great. I think this is good reflection. I'm really glad that all of you are able to think about this and put it down into words as well. Now just think about the entire experience, right? Think about all the three activities. There are certain things that you really liked. There are certain things that you found very enjoyable. There are certain things that were still challenges for you. Yet all of you attempted it in the best way possible, right? You tried your best to do it. And you were able to understand how you want to end the activity, right? So through these entire three activities that we've done, what is that one maybe learning or takeaway that you have? What is one thing that you want to take away from doing all of these three activities? Need to work on lesson planning. Learning is an art. Everyone has potential to do a work differently, absolutely. Again, if anybody wants to unmute and speak, they're allowed to do that.
Hello, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, I think for me, the aspects of critical thinking, where one of the facilitators asked us to close our eyes, think about our environment, what do we see there, what do we perceive, and to draw it down. I think that aspect is good for our students in the class. Let them use their thinking because the issue of AI now is getting into our students, whereby you give them any assignment or anything, they go to ChatGPT, all these AI generating tools, they go and copy from there. But when you ask them critical question, that is the higher level of, I mean, the high level of Bloom taxonomy under inquiry knowledge, they'll be able to think about their environment. They'll be able to think on how to solve community the problem within their midst. They'll be able to solve it. I love that aspect very well. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, thank you so much. And I guess like I think I heard a bunch of people talk about AI right over here as well. So it's important for us to also ensure that we are able to get back some of these teachings back into our classrooms as well. And yeah, I think I can see a lot of good answers also on chat. We can develop problem solving, critical thinking, problems are everywhere. That's true. Learning can be enjoyable. Absolutely, learning should be enjoyable, right? Like it should be a space where people actually have fun and they want to know more, right? All right. And last question for all of you, since all of us are teachers here, right? If you want to apply what you've learned from these activities into your classroom, what would you do? So through these three activities, all of you gave us so many different learnings and takeaways, right? If you had to apply this in your classroom, what would you do? And this has to be a little bit action oriented, right? So write a particular action that you can do.
Hello, sir. Can I talk?
Sure.
Okay. So, to me, first thing I have to do is to go back to my planning. First, I look into my lesson plan, the way I planned it before. How am I going to incorporate this into my lesson plan for each topic that I want to teach? And in doing that, I'll be able to know the problem of each student. You know, in a situation, especially here in Nigeria, for instance, my class now, my class, they are about 90 in a class. And I use inquiry method by grouping them, let them do some things. But with the new knowledge I acquired here now, I can incorporate music. Let them sing about the topic, about important points, so that it will stick to them, their brain, just like the way ordinary music stick to their brain. So the best thing for me is to go for another plan of the way I plan my lesson notes, the way I spend my time in the class. All this will improve the teaching and learning in my school. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing so much. Um, I see a bunch of other responses as well. Someone says, oh, a lot of you speak about including some of these activities, right, in the classroom. And that's what we were talking about. When we talk about holistic education, it's not just about the academic knowledge, it's about how you're doing an overall development. There is a very important question I think somebody had asked, and I found it very interesting is what was the reason behind making a football team with animals, right? Uh, can someone take a guess as to why we chose an activity like that? Why do you think you were making a football team with animals? Again, there are no wrong answers here. You can take a guess as to why we tried that. Okay, to get us away from the usual and make us think. That's true. Pushing creativity. Lesson on animals, critical thinking skills. And I would like to take that word, right? Critical thinking skills is something which is very important here. Just you have to understand maybe some of the roles and maybe what are the requirements for the role. And based on how you perceive it, you are choosing the roles in that way, right? So it's about having that thought. And obviously, there's a lot of creativity and thinking out of the box through that, right? So I think all of you have probably nailed it down to the T. I think really great. And yeah, thank you so much again for reflecting, being honest about the reflection throughout. And I'll just quickly hand it over to Rashmi, who will just take us forward.
Thanks, Manu. Yeah, but somebody had their hand raised. I think Tasneem, would you want to share something?
Yes, like why it was an animal, because different strengths and abilities help to understand. Being a giving a special role and contribute, may explain the child understanding. That's why.
Okay, thanks, Tasneem. Okay, so all that we have done till now, and especially the three activities, which was, first we started with the sketch, then we looked at making a melody together, and then now we made our football team as well. So actually, if you think about it, none of this was very random. It had a pattern that we were following, right? We were doing something, we were doing the activity together, and there was a reason of how we were doing it. So that pattern or that entire thing that we were following is actually called the experiential learning cycle, and we'll just see it on our screen in a few minutes. And you'll actually see that how whatever we did in the workshop yesterday, or what we just did with the football activity also now, was actually following this experiential learning cycle. So this is actually called the Kolb's experiential learning cycle. And Kolb is the person who made this cycle or who talked about it. So if you just focus on the first blue box, you will see it's about actually doing an activity, getting an experience about something, like just how you build your football team right now. It's that. Then, if you see the next box, which is a little bit green in color, it's about reflecting and learning. You actually look back after having that experience, after doing a certain activity, that what did I do? Did I do it well? What could I have done better? What did I learn out of it? What will I do next about it? So, it's all your reflection and learning. Then, if you see the next box, which is called abstract conceptualization, that's actually about planning, about the transfer of the learnings that you've had. What are you actually going to take away and plan and do it? Okay. So, how will you apply the learning that you've had from the experience outside the classroom or outside the session? Okay. And the last one is actually the application, that whatever you've planned, how is that one thing you're taking outside this class, the actual doing of you applying it outside the session. So that's how this cycle looks. And this experiential cycle is actually not like a straight line, it's more like a loop. You keep on doing this, you keep on having an experience, you reflect on what has happened, how did it go, what was good, what was not so good, then you learn something out of it, you plan what you want to do next, and then you actually go outside and apply it. So this is what we call the experiential learning cycle. And exactly for all the three activities that you experienced, we were following this cycle, um, so that we could have some kind of reflection learning, and we could have some application that you could apply in your classrooms. So before we go ahead and see how do we want to actually explore the idea of applying this into our classrooms, maybe if we could hear an example from, if Manu, if you could share, Abhimanyu, about how would you use this experiential learning cycle into your classrooms, maybe using an example, if you could share with all of us.
Yeah, so there was a session where I had to explain to my students why it is important to sometimes work in teams, right? So the experience that they went through was very simple. So there was around 10 minutes of reading time for them, and they individually had to read like a section. And they were all reading, and they sort of understood some parts, they didn't understand some parts. And then after that, I told them, okay, for the next section, you have to divide yourself into smaller groups, and each member of the group has to read one smaller subsection from the bigger page, right? And once everybody is done reading it, explain to each other what you understood. And once they experience that, I just ask them a very simple question: what happened when you did it alone versus what happened when you did it in a team, right? And there was a lot of different ideas that came out. Some people said that somebody helped us explain this part to us much better. When we thought somebody could not understand something, we read it with them and made them also understand it in a much better manner. And the entire idea was just about how you can sort of work in groups or in teams while you're also studying. And at the end of it, I just asked them, how are you going to do this outside of the class, right? What are you going to do with this sort of experience that you have gained? What do you want to do with that outside of the class? And they said, maybe next time we are studying, we want to do group studies. We want to sit down with some of our friends and study, right? Someone said, I'm going to sit down with my siblings and study in a better manner. So the idea was just to ensure that they are first experiencing the difference between working in a group and not working in a group, then asking them like what exactly happened over there, and then telling them that okay, this is how you can apply it, or letting them come up with that idea of how they can apply it, right? So this is how I was able to make them understand that idea of why working in groups is also a good thing.
Thanks, Manu. So now now we've all understood a little bit about, okay, what is this theory about experiential learning cycle, right? And we also understand that, reflection is the actual place where a lot of learning is happening for the students to carry forward. So I actually want you all to think now, how can we take this to our classrooms? Okay. Whatever we've tried to learn, or maybe try out new activities and think about different things or skills, how can we take this back to our classrooms, right? And I want you to actually take some time, maybe a minute or two, and think about some ways that you would want to take this experiential learning cycle into your classroom, right? Maybe it's about actually asking the students to do a poster awareness campaign or something instead of writing an essay. Or maybe it's actually asking the students that let's have a debate today on a topic in a debating style instead of just having a normal session on an English language chapter. Or maybe it's about asking different questions about what would they do before going on to the next topic. So it's about all these few ideas. So maybe take a minute or so and think about what would you like to do to take experiential learning into your classrooms. And you can also unmute and speak. We could have one or two of you share, but some of you, please feel free to use the chat and write your responses. In the meantime, till we get some responses, also, Inika or Pratibha, would you probably have any of your experience or something that you would like to share, or maybe something you would like to try out if you're going to be anytime soon in a classroom?
I think something that I liked doing during when I was teaching, which is similar to these lines, is something like a community walk. I really like my students engaging in that because it just gave them like real experience of what we were learning about. So for context, I was a social studies teacher. So it was just a lot more impactful if like they went out and like saw things for themselves, spoke to people. So community walks was something that definitely I enjoyed. Pratibha, if you want to share as well.
Thanks, Inika. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, ma'am. From what I've learned so far, uh, I will try to incorporate some things to what I've been doing before. Initially, from what I've been doing before, I used to group my students, despite the fact that the population is large, over 90 in a class. But I do group them based on the way they are sitting, and I gave them tag with their group name because I'm an agricultural science teacher, and I give them by a fruit name like banana, garden egg, something like that. So for any class, I used to give them what I call we do. They work together as a group, and somebody will come out as a leader to explain what they discover from the assign I mean the work given to them. At times I do give them flashcards to use and to come and say something about that. And in my class, I used to ask questions most because I believe that asking questions, you will know the problem of your students. And by the time they understand the subject, they will be able to solve the problem in the environment. From what I've learned here now, what we add to it is the music aspect, which I see that it is very important because from the look of things in our country here, most of our students, they like music. So when you use what they like for them, they will surely understand better. It may not be in form of reading or tones that we learn here. It may be in their mother tongue language. Use examples and let them sing with it, so that when they are reading, they will remember what happened in the class, and evidently they will be able to understand that topic very well.
Yeah.
That is
Thank
my point.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing how you did the group work with the students. Yeah, Samuel, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so I work as a science teacher, a chemistry teacher particularly. So something that I noticed that came up recently was this question of studying in class, which is more about marks and the idea of children not really perceiving as to why are we studying science? How does it get used in daily life? I didn't know how to answer that question. So today, when I did a class, I had to talk about the periodic table. So something that I tried with them was a first grade activity of just giving them colored shapes that are there. And then I asked them, what would you do if I'm giving you different kinds of pictures that are there? And something that they started telling is we would right away sort it out based on different reasons. So I said, what would be the logic behind how you would sort it? And then they came up with their reasoning. They came up with good ideas where everything could be sorted, some poor ideas where everything could not be sorted. Some of them had to be categorized as exceptions. From there, I brought in the history part of it because history is something that children hate. That is something that I understood because it's ICSE. They just are expected to mug up. So I was like, you also need to appreciate scientists who have put in so much effort because they didn't have so much, all the privileges that you have today, they didn't have it at that point. They didn't know. So when you look back at them, they exactly did what you just did now. Some of their classifications, the way that they worked out, were really poor, which is why new ideas came up. And you see that as and when they progressed with different people bringing in different ideas, you saw that there were better ideas. Like they appreciated how Mendeleev's periodic table was way more sensible. That was one of the words that was used.
Yeah.
So now they did not have anything to oppose on how the history part was brought in. So I think it was kind of a success, at least in breaking that idea of it's not something that is like part of science. It's something that all of us humans do to make our jobs easy. And I think one of the context that I brought in is if you have your clothes, would you keep that in your bedroom, in your shelves, or would you scatter it in the fridge, in the kitchen, and things like that? So basically,
Yeah.
that's what we are doing in science also. So I think it kind of worked. If there are
Yeah.
ideas from your end of how we could go about this, I would really appreciate that as well.
No, thank you for sharing. Actually, it was fantastic to hear. I wish I would have been taught the periodic table that way. But it was actually really nice that how students could actually, do something on their own and figure out that learning. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, we'll take one more response and then we can go on to the next question and others could add in. So Swati.
Good evening, ma'am. Thanks for the opportunity. When we are talking about the experiential learning, being a social science teacher again, I feel that we need not to go for the bigger experiments. Simply, when we were talking about the precipitation rain cycle, I asked students to observe while their mom is making dosa, and it was excellent. Students were arguing with their mother or the chef in the house and asking, let me put the plate over the hot pan so I can see how there with the water droplet, and it went wonderful. Similarly, from very small examples, even from rangoli, chawal ka atta, we have created a lot many things in school itself. While discussing about weathering, how it can break down the bigger rock, we just went on a walk in a ground and I asked them to observe where they can see the small plants growing up and the roots are getting near the rocks also. They observed the people tree, banyan tree, and they realized that the bigger rocks can also be broken. The withering can happen because of the roots of the tree. Similarly, in the garden area, see the flow of the water and understand how the river is forming its tributary. So, I feel personally, experiential learning is not about the big things or jargons. It is seeing the simplicity in our surrounding.
While talking about the electric circuit, we just did a very simple straw activity. Now, there could be the question how you can do it in SST. So, we were talking about the interdisciplinary and cross disciplinary kind of things. They made the electrical circuit, and at that time, we also understood about the roots, silk roots, and the spice roots. From one place, you need to start and to reach to the another place, and from there, you need to come back again, and the things went really good. So, for me, experiential learning is the joyful learning where I can see what I'm learning, I can experience why I'm learning, and how it can help me to apply in my real life. So that's it, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks, Swati. Thank you for sharing so many ideas for a lot of us on this call to actually try out in our classrooms. So, now since we've discussed a lot of ideas, and thank you for sharing on the chat as well, we'll actually look at another thing. So, I want you to now probably think of some systems, right? And by systems, I mean over here that, okay, we have some great ideas now that we want to try in our classrooms, but what we will have to do for it, right? What should we be in place in terms of whether that's the seating, the material, the activity, how will I do it, how will the students learn, will it be in groups, in pairs? So what are these systems that you would want to try in your classroom, right? I did see some of you mention on the chat that group based learning, peer based learning. So if you could probably put on chat some ideas of what are these systems you want to try out in your classrooms. We could also have one of you maybe to unmute and speak if you would like to. Okay, so some of you are saying it's about group based, project based learning. Okay. Integrate groups. Okay. I think someone, yeah, Deepa, you can go ahead and share,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. Thank you, Rashmi. Uh, in my school, we are trying project-based learning. So this year, for eighth grade, we gave a task like we gave a challenging question like, how can we design a school bag that is safe and comfortable and affordable to everyone? That was the question we gave to eighth grade students. So what they did was like first we gave them investigation. So it's mainly for science class. Our focus was mainly for science. So through this designing school bag process, we are trying to teach them uh, different concepts like force, pressure, gravitational force, like that. We our focus was mainly on the science part. So initially, we investigated the problem. So we didn't whether the problem existing or not. So uh, we divided the same school bag theme into different categories, like whether what about the strap, what about the size, what about the other features. One by one, they took the feature and then they investigated whether the current system, the current school system, we are facing any kind of that difficulty. Then we analyze, okay, these are the problems we are facing right now. Then the big question came, how did it happen in that way? Why is it happening in that way? Then we connected those questions to the science uh, concepts. Um, so, for example, I mean, why the straps are uh, uh, wide, not narrow. So, if it is narrow, I mean, some even though wide straps are still uh, but steps are advisable to carry, but still some companies made narrow strap. Why is it happening? Like that, lot of questioning happening throughout the process. So all these questions, we are just guiding them to question themselves. So it's more about what kind of questions they are asking and helping them to find those answers by themselves. So as a teacher, my role was to guide them to um, go through those concepts. So we are providing a good library, computer room. research more about it. And when they face the mathematical concepts, when they need, in maths class, we explain those math concepts. Yeah. So finally, we uh, started to, now it's a designing time. So they came up with measurements and all, what kind of a school bag each group in that classroom needs. And now they are working on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Deepa, for actually giving us a good understanding of how you're doing projects with the students. And I saw a lot of amazing answers on the chat as well. Maybe creating routines with students, having a seating like a circle, doing a lot of stations, learning stations, also having different roles for students, maybe for a certain time. And I think these are some great systems that could help us take experiential learning into the classrooms. So now we'll go to the last part, and Manju, over to you.
Right. I do see some hands raised. Maybe you want to just directly jump into the last bit, right? And you can share some more ideas, which is basically just that one actionable thing you want to go ahead and try in your classroom after everything that you have heard from us over the last, 2 days. It could be anything, like something that you just want to try. Maybe you don't have to focus on the outcome as much, but something that you're just willing to try. And there are a lot of beautiful ideas on the chat as well. And someone who's already tried something, maybe how can you push that a little bit more, and maybe share your ideas as well. So I see that Swati and Jenny, both of you have your hands up. So if you want to answer this question, you can go ahead. Swati, maybe if you want to try.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
I would like to improvise the thing which we are generally doing as a routine practice reflection after every session. We kept it as a routine that after every session, even at the end of the day, we give the reflection question to the student where they reflect what we have learned today, how we have learned today, what was the understanding, and where they are struggling. Some kind of exit tickets also. So I want it to become a little more action oriented, whether it will give the child to go for the next day planning also. Like this has happened today, what next for tomorrow can be added to that. And one more thing is there, we are having the parking lot system where the students are putting questions for each other. They are not asking it to the teachers. They are putting it for each other where they are learning from each other. So for that we can create some of the resources which can help for the holistic learning where the peer are learning more from the peers.
That's great. Thank you so much, Swati, for sharing that. And Jenny, if you want to share.
Yeah. So since AI was brought in as one of the tools that you guys use, something that like that, I mean, there's no fancy stuff that I have found that I could bring to a high school class, but something that we are planning to try is where we have a small little topic which is quite fact heavy, which is metals and alloys. So they know the metallic model, and they need to learn about the properties of metals, different kinds of metals, their applications. So we thought instead of just sticking to the syllabus, just understanding the basic uses. Again, as teachers, I have used as a teacher, I have used AI. I have used Claude to actually work out a plan on how I can get the children to work on this in groups. So they work on a particular metal, its alloy, and its applications. They can use any of the tools, and I am 100% sure that all of them would jump into using some AI tool to find information. Now they have to bring that understanding into Adobe Express. So that was again a session that we had gotten through Firki itself, where they are supposed to present a web page. So that is the idea, where they have to do some kind of reading, present the content. Now, when they present the content, they need to ensure that they have read the document completely, because the document clearly states that we do not want facts to be pasted, but give us a reason. So if you're stating a fact, as to the why and the what behind it, just to initiate some kind of thought, at least even if they're copying pasting, that there will be some kind of thought process. So that is one way I think we might be able to get away from just plain copy pasting. And they work in groups, so they need to know what part they're doing, how they are pasting, and each group also has to ensure that images are not fancy stuff that is there, because I think children usually tend to bring in all those fancy images and decorative things. But here they have to make images that are relevant to the points that they're discussing. So I think that also will make them think. And the third part on how we are going to check is that they have to write a reflection on what they have done. What is their contribution in creating the web page, which will ensure that there's no one person who has actually made the entire thing, that each of them has made some contribution in. And they have to also ensure that whatever is spoken about by the other person, like whatever is described by the other person, there's a logical connect to it, which means they have to go through the entire document. And this reflection will go on Google Form, that they type their own reflection, and they would present their reflection in class before all their peers. So rather than having just a presentation where again it's going to be something that they would generate with an AI, here they're going to reflect on what they have written and they would present it. And that reflection should match with what they have submitted on Google Form. That will be a checkpoint for us to check if they've actually done some work. So we're thinking of executing this plan. We're hoping that it'll work out. Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Sounds a little elaborate, but I think it's like the flow is really nice, and I think the involvement of everyone is also really good in that. What I really liked in the previous two sharings is always that it ends with a reflection. And remember that if you want to really experience something, there has to be a reflection around it, right? Just in the interest of time, maybe we have one last person. Nikita, if you want to share, you can.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, sir. So basically, I tried this in my classroom and I really want to try it again. When I was on an internship from my college, I tried this. Like students, the major complaint about other from other teachers about the students were that the students complain even a little things that they do or some other student do to them. So I thought it was just a thinking that if someone is complaining, then there should be a solution. Every complaint and every problem has a solution. So I made this rule, like if you have a complaint, you can tell it in front of the classroom to everyone that you have this particular complaint, but only if you have a solution for that. So it's like if a student come to me that ma'am, this student had taken my pencil without telling me or stolen my pencil or eraser. These small complaints of students are really sometimes get in between your lesson plan. So I started thinking. Just told them, "Please stand in front of the class, announce this particular problem of yours to the whole class, and give a solution. What do you want me or others to do to stop this particular problem?" So this one student, Ravi, of my classroom, he came up to me and he was like, "Ma'am, we can do one thing, and that is we do not bring the geometry. We submit all our pencils to you. You give us pencil when we have to work, and then we submit it back to you. This way, no one will ever steal anyone's pencil." And it was really like I didn't thought about this. He thought, he came to me, he answered that particular, he solved that particular problem for all the students, and I didn't have to use my brain. And it was really a good practice that even other teachers of my group adopted this practice, that they said for at least their particular class, when they are teaching, they will be adopting this activity. And the results in our teaching practice was really really improving. Like we have a bit less complaints to tackle on. So I want that whenever I become a permanent teacher, I want this particular practice ongoing in my classroom.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that, Nikita. And I think that was also very good to hear for everyone else. That idea of just collective responsibility, right? And like I said, right, just remember that every time you want to get a little bit more into holistic education, a little bit more into experiential learning, there has to be a reflection about something that is not academic based, right? It could be as simple as, hey, how was it like working with somebody else? Or what did you feel when you shared your answer with the rest of the class, right? And it helps them just talk a little bit more about themselves or about what they are learning. And I think with these amazing ideas that you've shared, you've put down on chat, I think it's a great way to end this session. Uh, yeah, you're going to get a feedback form with these two questions, right? And I don't think you have to note it down right now. You'll get a feedback form with the two questions, and we'll also get an answer to it once you've submitted it. But if anybody has any other specific questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I think our details have been shared with you. And yeah, I would like to thank all of you for being like super like engaging throughout, using chat as much as possible, even in fact unmuting and sharing as much as you can. I'll just hand it over to the Firki team to just close down because I think we are out of time. But yeah, like I said, if you have anything that you want to reach out to us for, please do that.
Thank you so much, Abhimanyu. Yeah, thank you so much to the enabling leadership, all three of you, Abhimanyu, Rashmi, and Ariman. It's been such a great experience over the last 2 days. Yeah, just it was really nice to see what holistic education can really look like and what learning by doing can look like. So it was wonderful to engage in these spaces. I think, like I shared at the start of the sessions, also, like we love engaging in these spaces and we love hearing how y'all as participants are also learning through these sessions and what y'all are taking back. So thank you to all of you as well for being so interactive throughout. It was really, really great to see some of the ideas that y'all have built up on. And clearly there are some very exciting things that y'all are taking back to your students as well as to your fellow teachers and peers. So we're really excited for what that can look like. Um, we'll be sharing a feedback form in the chat, like Abhimanyu mentioned. So in that, there are some reflection questions which you saw on screen, as well as just some other questions about your experience over the last 2 days of the workshop. So please take your time to fill that in. The bonus of filling that in is that is what it'll give you access to your certificates. So please ensure that you are filling that in. The links are all in the chat, and you can also access it directly through FITKI website. If in case you're having any trouble in accessing this, there's also a form link which you can fill up and we'll get in touch with you to resolve this. And like the team also shared, we'll also share all three of our facilitators' details with you once we're closing the space out, just in case you have any queries. Since we don't have time right now, we'll speak to them about how we can get those queries through to them and they can help you with that. And I hope all of you can see the link. Yeah, it's there in the chat box. If there's anything, please feel free to stay back on the call. Otherwise, you can feel free to drop off. Abhimanyu, Rashmi, and Ariman, thank you so much once again. I think there's a lot of appreciation pouring in the chat as well. So please do take a minute to go through that. It's really heartwarming to read. But yes, thank you so much for once again a super amazing holistic education session. It was wonderful having you all.
Thanks, Anika. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you so much.